and swim away with me on Mermaid Junkie TV.
Hi Mermaid Junkies, how are you? I took last week off. I was not feeling very well, but today I am out in nature. I'm at my house in Oklahoma, and we are going to talk about how to love yourself. I'm going to give you some treasure trove tips. I have 10 of them. So the first one is, obviously, because I am out in nature, we should get out in nature. I purchased a bicycle this past weekend, and it was so lovely to drive down to the lake and feel the fresh air and be around water. Again, it's been such a long time, and I'm so happy to be able to get on my bike and do that. So I think I'm going to take some videos down by the lake where the ducks are, and that will be a lovely, lovely experience. So number 2 is obviously to eat well. We need to put good things in our bodies so that we can put out good things into the universe. I think a lot of times we actually don't realize the connection between spirit and body, and when we put negative and bad things that don't have enzymes or the correct nutrients into our body, we're going to get that same thing. It's like putting garbage into your body and then expecting to have beautiful flowers, from a garden. It's not going to happen. So let's remember to put good things in our body, and in turn we will transpire and transform, and everything that we put into our bodies we get out. So that is number 2. Number 3 is to love and appreciate your body. I think that along my journey I've really struggled with this, and I had mentioned before that I struggled with body dysmorphia, and I had a lot of issues because I think that, I justified it, and I thought, well, yes, obviously I love my body if I'm working out and trying to look good and be fit and trim and keep up with all of these other girls that were around me and such, so that I could feel just as good. But it was an external way of me trying to make up for this lack of this internal acceptance that I had and love that I had for myself. So it's very important, girls, that we embrace all of our body parts, not just say, oh, well, obviously I work out, but I really wish I had different calves, or I really wish that I didn't have bow legs, like that was me. Or I had a real big issue because I felt I have a little bump on my nose, and so I've always been conscious of that, and I never really fully accepted how I looked, so I would always be very, very critical of myself. So it's important that we don't become critical of ourselves. I mean, what would you do ask yourself this question: if you loved yourself, would you treat yourself in that manner? And so I think that that's a really good question to ask yourself with everything, is that if you think that someone that loves themselves would say, "Ugh, you look terrible in that bikini," or "you look awful in that outfit," or "your hair is terrible," or, it could be any number of things, but I'm just saying, and then ask yourself, would someone that loves themselves do that to themselves and be that critical? The number 4 would be affirmations for your body parts. So I think that, like I was saying before, that it's very important that we have this sense of all acceptance, not just this acceptance of a part of ourselves, or say, oh, well, I like that about myself, but this I could really internally, you think, oh, I really wish I could change that, or I really wish I could get a nose job, because that's what I used to start focusing on, is that I was like, well, I'll just create enough money to where I'll just get plastic surgery so that I can feel like I look better, and go get a tan because I'm very fair complected, and not appreciating that, I think, is very critical to our self-love. And when we don't love ourselves completely, we manifest that externally. So a lot of times, and so what I mean by that is, whenever I would always think these negative things about myself, I'm doing the yoga pose. When I would think these things about myself, I noticed that I was more critical of other people. And I would say, oh, well, look at her, and, and sincerely I would. And so along my journey, I've realized that it's so important not to judge other people. When you're focused more on internally cleansing and transforming for yourself, then you will become less judgmental. And I talked to you about that before on the video last week or the week before, because I was really sick. I apologize, you guys. I promise I'll be here this week, all 4 days. So anyway, so affirmations, that was the other one. Number 5 is to accept ourselves. Completely 100% accept ourselves. And one of the ways that we can do that is affirmations. And I've talked to you guys about doing affirmations every single day. That needs to be a part of your devotions. If you practice yoga or whatever kind of extracurricular activity that you do for exercise, or just getting out in the fresh air and feeling the vibration of the world and God around us, and He's in everything. To affirm, maybe you're on your bike, you can affirm and do your affirmations there. But it's good that you will have, at least maybe 5 or 6 affirmations that are like ingrained in you. You know them by heart, and you just instantaneous, like automatically know them, and you say them over and over, because it really seems like such a simplistic task to do, to have, to create affirmations and to say them repeatedly. But I promise you, if you will really focus on doing this and realizing that it actually does work and it benefits you, that you will start to soak in those words, because words are very, very powerful. Words are energy. And so you will create exactly everything will manifest into what you are saying. So if you say, I am a wonderful, beautiful person, you will in turn become a wonderful, beautiful person. Because then again, it is all about perception, and the way you perceive yourself is the way that you perceive everyone else. And so it starts from the inside. And okay, so that was number 6. Number 7 is respect your body. And when I say this, and you may not respect your body, and I'm going to also go out on another limb, and number 8 would be to go on a diet of social media, magazines, negative television. And the only reason I'm saying this is, well, one of the main reasons I'm saying this is because this is what's helped me on my journey, is that you have to have a deficit where all of these things are triggers that cause you to start comparing yourself or start to make you feel bad about yourself. And it's a vibration. You see all these negative things on TV, or you see these women in magazines that are photoshopped and look beautiful, and the perception is completely what you see, and in turn then you start comparing yourself to these other women or other people, and you start thinking that you're not as good, and you start thinking that you need this or you need to that, you need to purchase this, you need to be this way, you need to do this to work out, you need to eat this to be the best that you can. And you do need to do these things, but you need to do them for the right reasons, not because you're trying to fulfill some void that's within you, because you're seeing these other women and you see this perfection. And you may innately know in your gut that these people aren't perfect. No one is perfect. But the way that you perceive them doesn't matter, because a lot of times we omit those things that we think. And we think, yeah, they might not be perfect, but look how great this is about them. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you justify, and you still focus on what you don't have and what they do have. So I'm asking that you would maybe, and it doesn't have to be forever, and you don't even have to do these things that I'm telling you to do. You're more than welcome to do whatever you feel necessary for your journey to transform into loving yourself and being the best person that you are and that you can become. And so I just think that looking at magazines and looking at television shows that have such a low vibration, that you're focusing all this negative stuff, and so in turn I think everything's going to manifest itself in a negative way. Number 9 is love yourself. Now, this seems like it may not be a treasure trove tip, but it is. I really want you to really recognize that you are worthy of your own love. And when you feel that you are worthy of your own love and that you love yourself completely, 100%, all encompassing, every part of you, even if it's the negative parts of you, it's you, and that's exactly how you were made, and that's exactly how you were supposed to come to the earth, and that's exactly what you need. All of these negative things and these shadowy sides of you that are negative, you need those to transform to help you to become the best person that you can be in your own heart, in your own spirit, in your own mind. So don't try to alleviate those things from your life or say, oh, that's negative, or that's a bad thing about me. We can transcend all of those negative things into positive things, because that is actually the opposition is what we need to progress and to have that progression and have that ultimate transformation in our lives. So it's very important that you love yourself and believe in yourself and know that you are beautiful and you are perfect exactly how you are today. Right now, even with all of the things that we're working on together, I'm working on them just as much as you are, is that we are working in unison together to become in alignment with Source and with God. He's God to me, but in alignment with Source so that we can manifest this beautiful life that we have to live and contribute to the world and being a better place. And number 10 is you will start to recognize, this tip is actually like can't think of the word, but you will start to recognize all of those beautiful habits and the beautiful tips, the treasure trove tips that I've given you. You will start to recognize those each day. It might be little by little, but I know that you will start to recognize those little teeny steps along the way. And just remember, it just takes one little focus, purpose-driven effort in the direction that you're supposed to go, or that you need to go to help in your transformation. And I know that if you just take little steps along the way, those build and build upon each other, and they will become, you'll look back and you won't even realize, like, wow, look where I started and look where I am now, even though it's just really tiny. I think even though, like just a particular story I wanted to share with you is that when I worked at Wiki, we had this position that we would do in the show. So when we would be under the water, the position A was when the mermaid would single-handedly by herself come up from the underneath the stage, and she would have no hose, so everything she was doing it on breath hold only. Well, you could have the hose if you wanted, but you know me, I'm a Pisces and I'm like going to toe the line because I'm a free spirit and I want to always like challenge myself. So I thought, let's see if I can do this for a minute and a half and just do it with no breath, with one breath hold. So I would try and experiment with that. Well, in turn, what we were supposed to be doing is we would have this moment to where we would bring bread. And when we would bring bread, it was to attract all of the fish in the river so that they would come and they would see, and it would just, it would make kids smile and they loved it. And so it was a really cool little thing. Now, this I'm going to relate to as a metaphor for our thoughts and how we're able to change those thoughts. And so I was thinking the other day that if you have a negative thought, just remember that don't bring out the bread, because what would happen is when I would bring out the bread and I would start feeding the fish, there would be so many fish around me that you couldn't even see me, which that's fine, but it made it harder to navigate through to try and get down to the underwater stage because I was still, mind you, I was holding my breath this whole time, and you have to smile and be beautiful and elegant and voluptuous and all of these lovely things because people are watching you. Thousands of people are watching you through the glass. And I just thought, you know what? The thing is that we become bombarded. It's almost like the fish overwhelmed me. And don't bring out the bread. So if you have a bad thought, don't encourage it by, exacerbating the whole situation. So another thing that I was thinking is that when you do that, you could always use the mirror instead, because the mirror was a direct reflection of yourself, and no fish would come because you weren't attracting them with negativity, right? So always remember, it's always about the internal reflection of yourself. So if you can put out those beautiful vibes and beautiful affirmations, you won't attract too many fish. So remember, don't bring the bread out. Keep the mirror and use that as your reflective, internal, beautiful source of affirmation and belief system in yourself. And as always, I'm yours until my next swim. Be happy. Ciao.
Won't you come and swim away with me on Mermaid Junkie TV?